Okay, this is gonna be my dear me. I had to write it down because I wanted to make sure I got everything. Part of me doesn't want to share this. I feel like I'm gonna be judged for a lot of it, and I hope I'm really wrong. There's a lot of things in here that I mean, there are people who've been through it with me know, but a lot of people that I know today don't know any of it really, and it's not something I really go around bragging about. But I feel personally like this is something that I need to do. I haven't forgiven myself for a lot of things, and I feel like the spirits are telling me I need to do this and I need to get it out, and I need to forgive myself for what I've done and things that have happened. And so here we go. Dear me, from the time you're old enough to be aware of your surroundings, you realize that the only emotions and relationships that are there are once filled with anger, rage, and abuse. You will watch as your own parents do nothing but fight and argue, and then they verbally take it out on you. You have two parents that aren't really physically abusive to you, but are verbally abusive enough to make you feel like you're crippled. You will wake up one morning at the age of 3 to watch your dad pick up and leave, and realize he didn't even want to say goodbye. After that, you don't see or hear from him for months, and during then, your mom does nothing but work, so you're basically living at your babysitter's house, where your older sister is raising you, and sometimes your grandma has you, but no parents are really in your life. Then, by the age of 6, you barely go to a sitter, because she doesn't like what your mom does. Your sister moves to Kentucky and has a baby, and your parents are shuffling you from each other's house back and forth every night. But your grandma is basically taking care of you when you're at your dad's house because he lives with her. And if he's not there, or he doesn't feel like dealing with you. So your cousin pitches in to watch you too. By that time, you feel a strong pull towards witchcraft around the age of 6 and 7. So you get people to buy you books, but you're too depressed to read them. Your dad and your grandma buy you your first pack of tarot cards at the age of 6 or 7, and you play with them nonstop. You always have them with you. You take them to school, and you get teased. But you're so depressed you just can't take yourself to actually learn them, to actually read the books and actually try and practice them. Finally, you decide you don't want to be at your dad's house anymore and be there every other night. And you just want to stay with your mom. He's basically gone. He's gone for good out of your life. You'll see him every couple months, if that. And he'll leave, and then he'll come back on your 13th birthday. Basically tell you that you were never good for him, that he never wanted you, and he ends up picking his girlfriend over you. So he leaves, and then by the time you're 17, he comes back again when you're pregnant with your son. He stays for a little while, but then he gets a new girlfriend, and he leaves once again. And then finally, now that you've had your other daughter and she's older, he just recently comes back in your life. And he's staying there for a little while. But I want you to know, I want you to know that don't get your hopes up. He might be around for a little while now, and it might be okay. And even though you will forgive him, don't expect him to be around for long. Then, at your mom's, you go from having someone watching you to always being alone. By the age of 8, you learn how to raise yourself and not to trust anyone. because all people do is leave. By the time you get to 8th and 9th grade, you are drinking and doing drugs heavily. You end up developing an eating disorder. And you have a very strong anorexic bulimia tendencies to the point where you're hiding bags of vomit throughout your mother's house because you can't afford to clog the toilet one more time. During all that, your cousin, who's like your best friend, shoots herself in the head one night. And you were the last person who talked to her. And you told her you were busy and you couldn't talk because you were with friends. So she killed herself. And that was the last thing you've ever said to her. The day after her funeral, your mother and your sister will approach you and tell you that you have two choices to either go to rehab for your eating disorder, or you can live in Kentucky with your sister. You choose rehab because you know you don't want to live with her. After you get out of rehab, you're only there for about 2 weeks, and you make your mom pick you up. You don't feel like they're doing anything good for you. By now you're in 10th grade, and you're starting to hang out with a gang called Vatos Locos, to the point where you're almost joined in and initiated. So your mom finally says she doesn't want to put up with you and your bullshit anymore. And she says that we're going to Kentucky for a vacation to get away for a couple days. 3 days after you get there, your mom leaves. She tells you that you're not coming with her. And this whole time you're thinking that you were going home. You're not. She packed up stuff that you didn't even know she brought. She leaves you at your sister's house and tells you you're staying there. Now that you're in Kentucky, you never really stopped your eating disorder. But you were able to put the actions on hold because you and your older sister, who supposedly has custody of you and is supposed to be taking care of you, you and her are snorting coke, smoking meth, and doing oxys every day. So losing weight to you wasn't a problem. While you're in Kentucky, you meet a guy you kind of like and end up getting pregnant by him. But then your sis has to go to rehab, so your mom makes you come back to Maryland. When you get back here, you have a miscarriage, so you continue to drink and do drugs. You drop out of high school and end up meeting another guy you thought you loved, but you were just scared to be alone. He hits you, spits on you, never lets you see your friends. You feel like a prisoner. By now you're 17. You end up getting pregnant by him and having a beautiful baby boy named Trace. He continues to put his hands on you and ends up accidentally kicking your son in the face. So you're done and you leave him. And he tells you if he can't be with you, then he doesn't want to be around your son either. And you see it as a huge blessing. You figured there could be nothing else better for your son than to be away from that. You end up getting full custody of your son. You've been clean since you found out you were pregnant with him. You get your GED and you start working full time at Five Guys. But then you start going to the club on weekends. And having people babysit him a lot. Until you turn 19 and you realize you're not being a good mom to your son. So you stop going out and you start trying to take better care of him. It looks like you're doing really good. You meet Joe, who's the husband you have now, and you and him are good for a while until he starts using drugs again. So then so do you, and things go